Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you all are doing well. This is Mohammad Badruddin and today we are going to solve lab number 4 from HTTP Request Smuggling vulnerability module. Highly recommended. If you did not watch the last video, which is Q&A, please watch that video. There I explain about TE.CL vulnerability with all the logical things. Okay, all the concepts are there. If you did not watch, please go and watch that. So in today's lab, we are going to see how we can exploit HTTP request smuggling to bypass front-end security controls, TE.CL vulnerability. This lab involves a front-end and back-end server, and back-end server does not support chunked encoding. That means the back-end server will support content length. There is an admin panel at /admin, but the front-end server blocks to access that endpoint /admin. Now to solve the lab, we need to smuggle a request to the backend server that accesses the admin panel and delete the user Carlos. So this is our lab. Okay, so let's go back to the burp proxy and you can see all the requests going through the burp. Now I'm just going to take this request to the repeater, go to the repeater, and here I'm just gonna send this request one more time to see if everything is fine or not. And you can see 200 okay, that means working perfectly fine. Now because this is TE.CL, so first of all I'm not going to take any request header and go to the inspector section. These two things are very important. First of all, so go to the inspector section and make sure you downgrade the HTTP protocol version. So I downgraded it to HTTP protocol version 1, and here you can see it converted to 1.1. Second thing, click on this gear icon and uncheck the update content length option. Now the first header I will add here, which is content type, and that's gonna be application / xwww -form -url encoded. Okay. The second header I will add content length, and the content length I will mention later. The third one is transfer encoding, and its value is gonna be CHUNKD. Okay. One more thing, because when we smuggle the request, so we will actually send some data here in the body section, but that we can only do with the post request, not with the get request. So we need to change the request HTTP request method. So I'm just gonna right click and change request method to post. So now I can add data here. So here, as I mentioned earlier in the previous labs, that we need to mention the chunk in hexadecimal value. So I will actually mention it later. I just right now write hex here. Now the next request I will also put here with the request HTTP request method post, and I'm just trying to access, let's say /admin and HTTP /1.1. Fine, without anything. And then I will say content length, content type, content length. These two headers I will take it from here. One more thing before actually doing anything, I just forgot to mention here. So I'm sending this request to the repeater again, and I actually wanted to show you that if you try to access the admin panel, so once you send this request to the /admin endpoint, you will see the front-end server will block your request. So path /admin is blocked, and this is coming from the front-end server. Okay, so that's why you need to first of all need to check that whether this lab or this particular architecture or infrastructure is vulnerable to content length and transfer encoding vulnerability, or transfer encoding and content length vulnerability. So you need to check it, and how you will check it I already explained it in the second video, lab 2, and in the Q&A section in the previous video. So that's why because we know that this lab is already vulnerable to TE.CL vulnerability, so that's why I'm gonna smuggle this request in the second as post/admin, and the workaround is about TE.CL, not from the CLTE. Okay, fine. So the data, you can put anything. Let's say I'm gonna say data is equal to 1, and then I'm gonna put here the second chunk 0. So the chunk size 0 means the message ends here, and I'm gonna put here to enter. Fine. Now, first of all, as I mentioned in the previous labs, that it's better to start putting the content length values and the transfer encoding values from the bottom. So this is the data, and if you highlight this data, you can see because the content length is in bytes, so there are 6 bytes, and I'm gonna put here 6. But it's better in TE.CL, it's better to put some extra bytes so that once the request go to the backend server, it try to read extra bytes. Okay, so I'm gonna put here 15. You can put 20, 18, like this. Okay, now the hexadecimal value of the chunk size is gonna be here. We will mention here, but you need to highlight the content from the data is equal to 1 up to the post, or from the post up to the data. Okay, so here you can see this is 63, so I'm gonna mention here 63. Again, for the content length of the first request is gonna be up to here, from 63 to the beginning of the post request. Okay, and it's 4. If you just highlight this content 63, it will say 2 bytes, but no, this is wrong. Why? Because if you click on this new line, you will see these are the new line trails, and if you highlight all the section up to the new line trail, you will see there are 4 bytes. Okay, so either you enable this new line trail so that you have these, or otherwise if you are working without it, so you need to make sure that you include the enter. Okay, new line trail. Fine, so this is 4. I'm gonna put here 4. That's it, and let's go send the request. So 200. Okay, and once I try to send one more time, it's taking too long. Maybe something is wrong. And what is wrong? I actually got it, because here we mentioned the endpoint, but we did not mention where the backend server will see this endpoint. So there must be a host header, and I'm gonna access /admin by the local host. Fine, so cancel the request and back to this request, which is the genuine request, and I'm gonna delete this section, send the request to just check out whether everything is fine or not. Okay, so 200. Okay, that means fine. Here also I'm going to, because we add the host header, so we need to update the chunk value. So let's see, I'm gonna take it from here up to post, and it's 74. So let's add here 74. Okay, send the request. $200. Okay, and here send this request. You can send this request, or you can send this request one more time. Now if we see the response here, home, and you can see here admin panel appears. That means you can now access the admin panel. Okay, or maybe you can send the same request one more time and you will get the same response what you get here. Okay, so admin panel, let's see, send one more time. Okay, so let's see, it took a bit time. So this is the request which I send it second time, and we get the same response, and here we get admin panel. So in the admin panel you can see there is a section for deleting the user, and to solve the lab we need to delete the Carlos account. So here is the endpoint which we can use to delete the Carlos user, and I'm gonna put it here instead of /admin. Put that here, send the request one time, because we changed the endpoint but we did not update the transfer encoding, the chunk value. Cancel the request and update the chunk size by just highlight this request up to the data is equal to 1. It's 8B, right? So I'm gonna put here 8B and send the request again. Okay, now 200. Okay, this is the first request, and here if I try to see admin panel, there is no admin panel, 0 match. So go back to the normal request, and if we send it, we should see here 302, or we can send this the smuggled request one more time, whatever you want. And here you can see, here we get the response. Here is still it's waiting, but here we get the response, and in the response you can see we had 302, the status code in the response 302. That means it's trying to redirect us to the /admin. And if we follow the redirection, or we go back to our lab and just refresh it, so you can see, congratulations, the lab is solved. And if we follow the redirection here, you can see it's taking us to the /admin panel. But again, this will go to the front end server where it will say you are blocked. But actually by the forged request, smuggled request, we already deleted the Carlos account. Now if we come back, I don't know why it's not responding. There is some issue. So you need to check it multiple times. You need to have some patience while solving this lab. Now if I try to delete the Wiener user, so WIENER, Wiener, and let's just increase the size of it to 18, and let's just check out one more time the size of the chunk, which is 8B, is still the same, because we did not change number of characters here and here. Carlos also contains 6 number of characters, Wiener also contain number of characters 6, so the hex or the chunk size is still 8B. Send the request one time. $200, okay, and send the request one more time. So you can see 302 found. That means it's already deleted the Wiener user. So that's it for this video, and I think if you already watched the Q&A video in TE.CL about the TE.CL vulnerability, you already know the concept. Fine, so that's it for this video. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.